Welcome back. So we're doing the Final Fantasy tier list PS2 update. And with that, start with Final Fantasy X. So it took me about 46 hours to clear the game. I didn't do a majority of the endgame content. I didn't play Blitzball because I knew those things would turn the game into a 100-hour experience for me. Really, the game's biggest strengths are its story and the characters that are in it. The plot was linear, but it was solid. I enjoyed the ride as it went. Similarly good, watching the characters grow also felt good. Everyone felt like a character with their own personalities. And if you watched the last video, you know that's a big plus for me. The voice acting gave an extra layer of depth for the storytelling and character development, and I'm glad it was there. It wasn't overused to make it feel like I was waiting for characters to deliver lines when I could just read. The battle system's good. It's simple on the surface, but it had depth, so the battles were fun. The music was on point. There aren't many tracks that got stuck in my head, but the music was all good. Uematsu did what he does best. There were negatives. The on-the-rails story that it had was a little too linear for my taste, but the story made it easy to stay on the ride. Side quests suffered a little bit too. It felt like everything was backloaded in the end of the game, but it also gave a chance to hang with the story as you were going through. My last criticism, battles were way too frequent. It made navigating through zones take forever sometimes. But despite all my gripes, it's still a really good game. For Final Fantasy X, is going to go in the bottom of A for me. It was between bottom of A, top of B, but it's a good game. Next up, we're doing 10-2. That's on this list. So, I didn't finish it. I was disappointed here for a lot of reasons. The battle system was really good. If it was put in a game that just either felt better or didn't have a lot of the other gripes that I have, it'd be a great battle system to have. Everything about the plot and the story of this game just felt weird, and it wasn't a vibe I was interested in at all. The music felt out of place in the world. It didn't fit Spira. The music in 10 was great. It fit everything perfectly. The 10-2 music felt really out of place. Having less access to places or the movement from place to place was more restricted. That felt bad too. The character of Brother, he was a fine little supporting character in 10. He turned into just like a nightmarish clown of a character in 10-2. Really, overall, the game felt like a cheap cash grab with some good things that could have been applied to another game that would have been really good. I'm putting it in D for did not finish. Alright, and then lastly, so I didn't play 11 yet. 11's an MMO. That's going to get its own whole thing later. So we're going to 12. So I had played this game a little bit in the past, but this time when I played it, it really hit just how Star Wars this game was. It had Star Wars references obviously all over the place. That's not to say the game is terrible, but if I was playing on the original PlayStation 2 version or any version that didn't have the speed up option, I wouldn't have finished it. It would have went into the did not finish. I beat the game in 58 hours using the speed up feature. I did several of the hunts, I did a few side quests, but ultimately I realized I would spend 100, 200 hours playing this game if I was being a completionist. Now, Star Wars comparison isn't trying to be overly critical, it's more just funny. Overall, the story was totally serviceable, the characters were fine. Ash is the only character that got a genuine arc. Van kinda grew up too. It was okay. That's the long and the short of it. Probably the biggest positive in the game is how well combat flowed through the landscape. There were no screen wipes, you just fought in the field. That felt great. However, that is contrasted by combat being generally just really boring. You equip a good weapon, throw your heals on gambits, and just beat stuff down. Very few encounters in the game took more than just autopilot, gambits, select attack, and that didn't feel great. It kind of took the challenge out of it. But the game getting music that played off of a lot of Final Fantasy Tactics music, that was a big positive. There are a lot of good tracks in this game. There's nothing really big, bombastic, explosive in the music, but they're solid songs, and that's really good. In the long run, this one was a mixed bag for me. At about hour 45, I almost hung it up. It overstayed its welcome, or it almost overstayed its welcome for me. But that aside, having its quality music, a decent story, and impressive technical accomplishments, those things make me have to put this game at the bottom of B tier. So that means that we now have the NES games, the Super Nintendo games, the PlayStation 1 games, and the PlayStation 2 games. All done. Next, I'm going on to the 13 series. So that's 13.1, 13.2, 13.3 as the PS3 games. Wish me luck. I've heard things that they can be hard to get through, I suppose. But we'll see. So, let me know if you agree with what I think. Let me know if you disagree. And I'll see you after I beat those. Take it easy.